When you turn this video off, please tell me what it was so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn Biographyology, today St. Ambrose, and after we've done it, we're going to do squat training. And if you participate in the squat training, then is it at your own risk. St. Ambrose, in the 4th century did he live. The feast day is the 7th December, and symbols in art are the pen, the whip, the beehive, St. Luke's ox, and the dove. I don't know what a dove is. Or is it a word? Patronage, learning, school children, students, bees, and wax workers. Paintings by Pierre Subleras, St. Ambrose converting Theodosius, and by Elvis, altarpiece of St. Ambrose. And here on that side we have St. Jerome, upper left, maybe. St. Jerome and St. Ambrose, upper right, from there. In Bishop's Métier feature prominently in this altarpiece representation from 1499 of the doubting Thomas and Christ. Ambrose and Jerome were two of 4 doctors of the early Western Church. Okay. And he's the prophet, he's the Bishop of Milan, so in northern Italy a city, Bishop of Milan, and one of the 4 early doctors of the Western Church, known as the honey-hunt doctor for his eloquence. Okay, I don't know what we mean with doctors, but he was known for being able to speak good and eloquently. Although the Roman Empire had embraced Christianity as its state religion in the 4th century, the Church was still expected to now to the Emperor's word. Okay, Christianity had become the major religion of the Roman Empire, declared by Constantine, but it was still expected that the Church follows what the Emperor says, the Roman Emperor, the Caesar. Ambrose was the first church leader to use his position successfully in altering this balance of power in favor of the church. Okay, Saint Ambrose, the Bishop of Milan, so in northern Italy, was the first one who successfully changed that more the church had to say what happens instead of the emperor, the Caesar, the ruling Caesar, not Julius Caesar as Caesar, an emperor. He also, so St. Ambrose, took a strong stand against heresy at a time when the alternative dogma about Christ asserted by the followers of Arius threatened orthodoxy. I understand it not that way, but there was another person with the name Arius, and he had a different doctrine of Christianity, the orthodoxy Christianity, but St. Ambrose had a strong stance against people who would not follow the Roman Catholic Church. So hearsay. If it would do it not. As much a politician as theologian, Ambrose used his natural eloquence and classical training as a lawyer to persuade others of his views. Okay, he was a politician and a theologian? No, as much a theologian as as much a politician as a theologian. So he was the Bishop of Milan and a theology. He was not officially a politician, but he worked in like that. He was born in Trier in Germany and brought up in a noble Roman family. Trier is in the middle western part of Germany. He became a provincial governor in northern Italy, but lived in Milan. Okay, he was a governor in northern Italy. He lived in Milan. Milan is in the northern part of Italy. But when the capital of the Roman Empire, he became a provincial governor in northern Italy, but lived in Milan, by then the capital of the Roman Empire. We see here that in the 4th century, the capital of the Roman Empire was in Milan. We're going to take this with a grain of salt. Maybe there's something a bit mixed up. Okay, he was born in Germany, in Trier, but he was the governor of a region in northern Italy. It didn't look the same as today. Italy wasn't existing. In the region in northern Italy, and he was living in Milan, a city in northern Italy, and they're saying that that was the capital of the Roman Empire in the 4th century. His start in the church was unusual. When a dispute arose over who should succeed the deceased bishop of Milan, Ambrose tried to help in overseeing a peaceful election. His gentle and well-modulated address so impressed the crowd in the square that, to his astonishment, it was his name they were chanting as the next bishop. Although professedly a Christian, he was no churchman. He was not even baptized. Okay. So he was a Christian. He was a probably strong believing Christian, but he was not working for the church. So he was not a theologian. But he was holding a speech, an address to the people when it was about who becomes the next bishop of Milan. And the people were admiring, were so astonished by the way which he addressed the people should make a peaceful election or try to get in a peaceful manner a new bishop, that they voted or wanted him to be the new bishop of Milan. But he wasn't even baptized. But he was a Christian. Fearful of the situation, he tried to run away and even hid from the public eye. Eventually, he was persuaded to take up the challenge in 374, but he had to learn fast. Milan was the center of ecclesiastical as well as secular matters in the empire. I don't really get these both names. I think they mean it was important in Christianity in religious aspects and also in aspects about governance of the empire. And he didn't really want to go directly to become the bishop in that city. At the time, the furious theological debate was raging about the relationship between the Son and the Father in the nature of God. Was Jesus of the same substance as the Father, as the Catholics believed? Or was he like the Father, but not equal to him, as the Arians believed? It was a debate that would rumble on, but into this hornet's nest Ambrose, at the modest age of 34, was plunged. Okay, at that time there was in Milan not just political government about the government of the whole country, but it was also the center for religious things. And one important thing which was at that time discussed was whether if Jesus and God were alike or the same or equal to him. So he like the Father, or was he like the Father but not equal to him, as the Arians believed? So the Orthodox I get now from here, but I don't know it. So basically questions about that was raging at the time, and now all of a sudden basically he became an important figure in a region in which many people were debating about it. The Roman state was fairly neurotic about its religious beliefs. Pagan gods were generally less favored than they had been in the past, but they still had their devotees in high places. Okay. Ambrose had to use all his diplomatic skill to prevent a resurgence of interest in them. Okay. A bit earlier in the time, in the Roman Empire, before Christianity became the main religion, there were other gods adored in the Roman Empire by the people. And at the time, still, many people believed that. And St. Ambrose tried to convince the people to believe in Christian God and not in the older Roman gods. In the context of his own faith, he had to contend with the many new converts to Arianism. So Arianism, not Orthodoxy. I don't know it. So there were some people converting to Arianism. The most celebrated occasion was his showdown with the Arian Empress Regent Justina, who demanded possession of a church for their worship. Okay, I think there was now someone important reigning with the name Justina, and she wanted one church to be in honor to one of the Roman gods. Ambrose steadfastly refused to release it, to the point of organizing a sit-in on the site. It was during this highly unconventional form of protest that the idea of hymn singing was introduced as an element of Christian worship in the West. Okay, the people made a sit-in, so they demonstrated. They sat down there and said, no, this is a church to a Christian belief and not to a Roman god. And they sang some songs, some hymns, and that was the beginning of singing hymns in a Christian manner or something. His power and influence grew to such an extent that by 390, so 16 years after he became the Bishop of Milan, he was able to reprove the emperor for sanctioning a retributive massacre of civilians in Macedonia. Ambrose insisted the head of state do public penance for his actions, setting the precedence that the emperor is within the church, he is not above it. Okay, there seemed to have happened a massacre of civilians in Macedonia, and Ambrose demanded successfully from the emperor who had ordered to do it, that he does penance publicly, and basically that set a precedence for that. Also, the emperor is not, the Roman Empire is not above the church, but that he is one of the people of the church, and if he does something wrong, if he believes it, should confess and do penance if he is doing it. That was the biographyology part to St. Ambrose. We're going to come back in a second part of St. Ambrose in biographyology, when we try to gather the informations together and prepare a presentation out of them, when we try to make a presentation about St. Ambrose. If you were here for biographyology, you can go directly to the next part of St. Ambrose. If you stay here and participate in the squat training, then it's better at your risk. We bring one leg up, bring the leg up, point with the toes down and relax the leg. Other leg up, pull the leg up, toes down, relax the leg. And take the leg at the ankle, straight back, knee down to the ground, and straight. Other leg, straight back, knee down to the ground. Rest on that. Okay. Now the next exercise, we are squats. We're doing 12 squats. So the legs wide apart and we're going down. Breathing down. For the first one and for the second one, you don't need to breathe. And for the third one and number 4. And let's go on with 5 and 6. And we're having the half. Let's do 7 and 8. And the last two for 10. So 9 and 10 and another. And it only 2 more. 1 and 2. Next exercise, the 6-pack squat squeeze. A bit down into the knees and press against the top of the leg on one side and on the other side. And down into the middle and press against the middle of the leg. And press on the other side. Down into 3/4 squat and press close to the knee. And on the other side. And up again. Now the fastest giraffe or water pole. Down into 3/4 squat, press against the knee, go towards it. On the other side, press against the knee, go towards it again. And again. And last 2. Last 1. And the last exercise, the propeller. Down into full squat, arms to the side, go over to one side, press against the leg, and look up to the head. To the middle, move to the other side, press against the leg, look up to the head. Up and up. Now pull again the leg up, at the knee, pull the leg up, point with the toes down, relax the leg. Other leg. Take it again at the ankle. Other leg. Legs wide apart, breathe in and come down. And breathe in out. One more round, breathe in. Out. Now breathe in and close the legs. And breathe in out. That was the squat training. I thank you very much and until the next time.